Number 1. Lexi has planted seeds in 3/5 of the garden. She used 1/2 pound of seeds. How many pounds of seeds will she need for the entire garden? She is sharing 1/2 of the seeds with 3/5 of the garden. This is division, 1/2 divided by 3/5. Division of fractions is really multiplication of the inverse or the flipped divisor. Another way to think of this is that if Lexi's garden has divided into 3/5, that 1/2 of the seeds plant 3/5 of the garden. So she could use another half to actually do 6/5 of the garden, but she isn't going to need a whole pound for 3/5 of the garden. Number 2, what is the value of the expression 3/8 divided by 3/2? Again, they lined this up for you, 3/8 divided by 3/2. We do not divide fractions, we multiply them. We have to flip the divisor before we can find an answer. And in this problem, the answer has to be in lowest terms. Number 3, Larissa is helping her mom string popcorn for a party. She can string 3 3/4 feet of popcorn with 1 bowl of popcorn. If Larissa's mom wants 60 feet of popcorn strings, how many bowls of popcorn will Larissa need? So if we think about this string that I just drew as a 60-foot string of popcorn, so here's 1 bowl at 3 3/4, and here's 1 bowl at 3 3/4, and here's another bowl at 3 3/4. So we are actually going to be taking the 60 feet of popcorn, dividing it by 3 3/4. So in this instance, you're going to have 60 over 1. You're going to divide it by the conversion of 3 3/4. Multiply, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15/4. Then we do our inverting the divisor and multiply. And before we come up with some great big number, let's take a look at common factors. A common factor is 15 in both 15 and 60. 15 goes into 15 one time, and 15 goes into 60 4 times, which leaves us 4 times 4, or 16. So Larissa will need 16 bowls of popcorn to make her 60-foot string. Number 4, at an amusement park, only 18 people are allowed on a ride at the same time. There are 157 people waiting in line. How many times will the ride need to run for everyone to have a chance to ride? Most of you understood that we needed to take 157 and divide it by 18 to see how many times it would go in whole. So 8 times 18 happened to be 144, and we subtracted and we got 13. Wait a minute. The ride is going to go 8 times and it's going to take 144 people. But what about these 13 people here? Do they get a turn to get a ride? Absolutely. So the ride has to go one more time in order to get all the people. Only this time the ride isn't going to be full, but it will have to, these people deserve a ride as well. Number 5, find the quotient of 6,844 and 116. Before I get started, I want to have a list of some factors of 116, so I'm adding 16 plus 16, and then 100 plus 16 more, doing some math, plus 16 more, and coming up with a list of some factors of 116 before I start my division. So now I have 6,844. I'm going to divide it by 116. I know that it can't go into the 6,000s, it can't go into 6,800s, but it is going to go into 684 tens. It's going to go about 5 times, 580. I'm going to do the subtraction, and I'm going to come up with 104. I'm going to bring down the 4, and I can see that 116, I don't have a factor of that over there, but it's so close to 10 times that I'm going to try 9 and find that when I multiply 9 times 116, I do get 1044. There's my answer. Number 6, which equation is modeled by the diagram below? This is an interesting diagram. I can see one whole. The top part of it is divided into fourths. 3/4 are shaded in. Then I see that the bottom has been divided into 1/8. 6 of them are shaded in, which would lend me to think that if I have 3/4 and I divided it into eighths, I'm going to have 6 of them. In Albany, New York, snow is falling at a rate of 1 84/100 inches each hour. After 8.5 hours, how much snow will have accumulated? In other words, how much will have added up? This is a multiplication. When we multiply decimals, we don't line up the decimals. We line up the numbers. We add all of the decimal digits, the numbers behind the decimals. So I have 2 decimal digits here. I have 1 decimal digit here. That means that when I'm finished multiplying these 2 numbers, I need 3 decimal digits in my product. I'm not adding any zeros. I'm not taking any zeros away. Just do the multiplication, put in 3 decimals, and see what you come up with. Number 8. Jasper was collecting maple tree helicopter seeds for an experiment in science class. He needs exactly 3 grams of seeds for the experiment. So far, he has collected the following. So we have day 1, day 2, day 3, and the different grams. How many more grams of seeds will he need to collect? Well, first we need to know how much he has in grams to date. So we need to add each of these decimals. When we add decimals, we line up the decimals so that our numbers line up completely. Now, as you notice in this last number, I don't have a placeholder, so I can add a 0 here, but I'm not putting any other zeros in. Okay, if I wanted to put some here for the zeros, that would be okay, but I'm not changing the numbers in any way by adding the zeros that I just put in. Well, I add this up. 8 plus 2 is 12, 10, 12, carry the 1, 7 and 7 is 14, and then I have 2. So far, Jasper has collected 2 422 thousandths of a gram. Well, he needs to collect 3 grams in total, so now we need to do a subtraction. And we're going to take and subtract, lining up our decimals, and do the subtraction to find out how many more grams he'll need to collect. And you need to do that subtraction yourself. I want to see how you're going to regroup. Mary babysat for the Tyler family for a total of 3.5 hours. They gave her $26.25. How much did Mary make per hour while babysitting? This is going to be a division, but we notice that our divisor has a decimal. So we need to get rid of that decimal, and in order to do that, we need to multiply this whole fraction by 10 over 10, because we have 1 decimal place in the divisor. So when we move the decimal 1 place in both numbers, we now have 262 5/10 divided by 35. 262 5/10 divided by 35 does not go into 200ths, does not go into 26 tens, but it will go into 262 ones 7 times. I've done my work over at the side, my multiplication to figure these things out. I subtract, I'm going to bring down the 5, and it's going to go in exactly 5 times. So I have an answer of 7.5, but we're talking about money, and so she's going to be making $7.50 per hour. 9 plus 24 is equal to one of those. And so we're taking a look at these different equations that have been rewritten in distributive form. So if we take and redistribute the number 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 8 is 24. We hit it on the first one. 9 times 1 was 9. 9 times 15 is much bigger than 24. 2 times 4 is 8. That's not a 9. 9 times 1 is 9, but 9 times 24 is much bigger than 24. So definitely. You could also take the numbers 9 plus 24. We could use our upside down division. We could find a factor of 3, and we would find the same 3 times 3 plus 8. Number 11. The area of a rectangular park is 5/7 square miles. The length of the park is 8/9 miles. What is the width of the park? Explain how you found your answer. Well, if we take a look at area, we know that area equals length times width. So the area of the park, the 5/7 square miles, is our whole. That was what we multiplied the two parts together in order to get. But seeing as we don't know what one of the parts is, we're going to use division. Whole divided by part equals part in order to find this answer. So we have the whole, which is 5/7, and we're going to divide it by the part that we know, which was 8/9. So now we're going to not divide, but we're going to multiply by the inverse of the divisor and get the answer. Number 12. There really were two questions here, and I hope you saw the difference between the two of them. Keisha took a trip to Greece with her 6th grade class. On their first day there, the whole class took a bus trip for sightseeing. The bus stopped every 60 kilometers so the kids could take pictures of different monuments. It also stopped every 90 kilometers for bathroom breaks. What is the shortest distance the group traveled where the class was allowed to take pictures and use the bathroom at the same time? We're looking for the least common multiple, the shortest distance. So the best way, I think, to do this would be to do our skip counting with 60 and 90. 60, 120, 180. Oh, I think I've got one. So as soon as I got to 180, I knew 90, and 90 was 18. Now, they weren't asking me how many stops they made on each one. They wanted to know a distance, and that would be 180 kilometers. The second part of this is if the bus traveled 275 kilometers during the tour of Greece, how many miles would it be equivalent to? So we know that 1 kilometer is 62 hundredths of a mile. 2 kilometers would be double that, 3 kilometers. So this is a multiplication in order to find this answer. So we're going to multiply those numbers together. And many of you multiplied these correctly, but you forgot to move the decimal. We do only line up the numbers when we multiply by decimals. And there are no decimal digits here. There are 2 decimal digits here. So in my product, I need to have 2 decimal digits. Go ahead, be careful with that multiplication, and come up with an answer.